I love Kimba. You don't understand. I love Kimba.
Love you, Kimba.
Hey, Kimba.
Hi there, it's me, Kimba, radio broadcast, season 4, episode 3, How You Remind Me. And yes, it's about Nickelback. I have been wanting to tackle this for some time, especially once I heard about the documentary Hate to Love. And as of this podcast, it is streaming on Netflix. I went to see it when it was in the theaters before it was streaming, and I was one of 4 women in the theater. That was it. However, that is 3 more people than were in the theater when I went to see Queen Rock Montreal. I had that one completely to myself, which is just wrong. And the reason that I've been wanting to do this is because I have a bit of history with the beginning of the band's ascent. They already had a couple albums up, but the beginning, right before they went into the stratosphere, is when I really got to know these guys. For a while, they were not being played on the radio a lot, or if at all. And I think that also goes for Creed and Limp Bizkit, but not to the level of Nickelback. And then all of them started kind of being integrated into radio again. And every time I have heard a DJ, radio satellite, go into a Nickelback song, come out of a Nickelback song, there is this entire dissertation about why it's a good song, why they stood the test of time. You know you really like them when you're in the car alone, you sing along, and it like doth protest too much. And really, they don't do this for any other band. Well, maybe Creed, but again, not to the level of Nickelback. And everybody knows about the hate, but it is still hard for me to understand. Deadpool 2 did a bit about it, which if you've not seen that, or Nickelback's recent video for Deadpool and Wolverine, I put the link in the bio of the podcast and vodcast. Both are a hoot and a half. And I've heard all the reasons their lyrics are stupid. Really? Have you heard rock lyrics before? Or one of my friends who says their lyrics are misogynistic, pointing to Figured You Out, yet she loves Buck Cherry's Crazy. So go figure. Which to me, Figured You Out is a very well-crafted song, albeit the lyrics are crude, but it's a well-crafted song about all the things I used to love about you, I now hate about you. And that's pretty relatable with most relationships. That same friend has said she'll hear the beginning of a Nickelback song and think, "Ooh, and then she'll realize it's them and go, "Oh." So this podcast will not be trying to convince anybody to suddenly become a fan of theirs. To me, their music is sex, drugs, rock and roll, like most bands. I almost feel like their driving style of rock, straight ahead rock, is almost reminiscent of 70s straight ahead rock. And even the singer Chad at the time kind of looked that way. He had the hair parted down the middle, bell bottoms. And this was a time when grunge and alternative was still very much king. And I feel it was more that this band just didn't fit in for the time. But I first heard them with a song that we played on Zeta. It was called Leader of Men from an album called The State that came out in 2000. I had several opportunities to interview Chad. His last name is Kruger. We used to always pronounce it Kroger, and he never really corrected us. So I will kindly ask artists, if a DJ pronounces your name incorrectly, just correct them. They just don't know. Maybe at the time the artists don't care because they're just trying to get out there. But yeah, correct us. We'll make it right. Your name is your name. The first time I talked to Chad was a phone interview, I want to say May 2nd of 2000. And it was really just a drive-by. We were playing that first single, Leader of Men. And even in the documentary, they say Chad was the phone guy. Not only would he call up the stations and ask for them to play Nickelback, like a fan, the record company would have him call radio stations, say, "Hey, thanks for playing our song." Just a little brief chit-chat. And this one is my first introduction to talking to him. And it's pretty short and sweet.
Hi. This is Chad from Nickelback.
Hello, Chad from Nickelback. How are you?
Excellent.
Are you pulling my leg? Is this really you?
This is really me.
Wait, I got a test question.
Okay.
How did you get the name Nickelback?
My brother was working in the Starbucks.
All right, say no more. It's you.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for calling.
Oh, well, thank you very much for all the support.
Are you on the road?
We are out with a band called 3 Doors Down.
We just had him at our show.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're apart from them right now for about a week, I think, and then we jump back on with them. We are in South Carolina.
one of the
kidding.
Carolinas.
I got off the bus about 20 minutes ago, just woke up, and I'm like, where are we? South Carolina, North Carolina?
That can tend to be a problem, can't it? Where am I?
Yeah.
Well, I heard that you're soon to be jumping on the road with another band that just played our Zeta Bonsai, which is Creed.
Yes. Well, we played with them before in Canada, but we played with them in Toronto and Montreal, but now we're going to be playing some really, really large venues with them, so I can't wait for that.
When you played with them then, were they as big as they are now, or?
No, because their record just came out. We played 2,000 seaters in Canada, and now when we go back, I think we're play Edmonton and Vancouver, the hometown with them, and those will both be large, probably 12,000 seaters.
For you.
That is going to be perfect.
That's great, though. You go from point A to point E. You know what I mean? You start out, and then you're like, thanks, Creed, for bringing us in front of 20,000. Appreciate it.
Exactly.
And then they see how good you are, and you don't have to go through any more of those two. You're just right up there then.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, guys. It's perfect. Yeah. I mean, I don't have to go through quite as much hassle, wait for my record to go number one. We just jump on with Creed. That was easy.
Have coattails, we'll ride.
Yeah.
Speaking of the CD going to number one, the CD is called The State. It is in stores now.
Yes.
And the song that Zeta has been playing and that people are loving is called Leader of Men. A lot of people probably think it's called Hard to Swallow because that's one of the,
right.
prominent.
That's what everybody says.
The Hard to Swallow song.
Yeah.
That isn't so hard to swallow. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to play it. Chad from Nickelback, thank you so much for calling. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you once again so much for the support, you guys. That's great.
We hope to see you soon.
Yes, I hope to see you too.
So that was my first chat with Chad from Nickelback. That's May 2nd of 2000. And usually on the vodcast, I would put up pictures with me and the band while the interview is playing. Only I have 0 photos with them. That's a very rare thing. I take pictures with all the bands that I've interviewed. And for some reason, I know there were pictures taken. I just am not in possession of any of them. So fast forward to July of 2000. Nickelback is going to play our Zeta Fest. And that's on the 23rd of July. So now the single, Leader of Men, has some traction. The band name is out there, but I still don't know a lot about them. So they formed in 1995, but we're just hearing the single Leader of Men in 2000. And as often happens when bands are trying to break in, there wasn't a lot known about them because Google wasn't here until 2004. The internet was not in 2000 what it is today. So you would usually get facts like a one-sheeter about the band. They're from Hannah, Alberta, and just the facts, or maybe an email you would get. It was just like a one-sheet bio, just typical stuff. Well, I wanted to have a little bit more, a little more meat on the bone. That's going to come back to bite me after this. So I talked to our guy at Roadrunner Records, Keith, and I just asked him, hey, is there anything that you can tell me about this band, that's not on the one sheet, some good intel about Chad or Nickelback? And Keith did not disappoint. He gave me a little tidbit of knowledge about Chad that I was not expecting. It wasn't something I would normally or readily talk about within the context of an interview, but you never know. So I tucked that in my back pocket and thought, okay, if I need that, I'll pull it out, if you know what I mean. So when Chad gets on the phone, he's groggy, like he's just woken up. This is July 14th of 2000, by the way. So it's like a little over a week before our Zeta Fest that I'm going to talk to him. When an artist is tired or hungry, it's really not the best way to interview them. So almost immediately I realized, yeah, that little thing Keith told me, I think I'm going to have to use that. So here is my phone interview. I think you'll know where it comes in with Nickelback's Chad Kroeger, July 14th, 2000.
Is this Chad?
This might be the morning version of Chad.
Oh, I like it. It's kind of, there's a grogginess to your voice.
There's some grogginess there, let me tell you.
And you sound more like a man than I do, which works out well, because usually my voice sounds so deep sometimes it's scary, I hate that confusion.
Oh, there's no confusion. I definitely sense some femininity.
Oh, well, good, because, yes, I was going to say, I've heard stories about you, Chad, but we won't go there till we meet in person, really.
What kind of stories?
Oh, they're good. Trust me, they're real good.
Oh, man.
We're about a week and a half away from Hammer Time. Nonetheless, Chad. Well, like I said, we'll discuss that in person.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
You truly are a leader of men, really. When I'm here. This is so cool because this is like this is the second time you've done this. It's kind of like when we're familiar down in Miami with drive-bys, but it's very cool because you like do phone bys. You'll just call randomly, which is great.
I'm at such a disadvantage today. I wish I had some dirt on you.
Can't you feel the gleam from my halo? Can you sense that?
No.
All right. All right. Well, while you look really hard. Oh, wait, that didn't sound right. We'll play Leader of Men. It's Nickelback on Zeta. You will be able to see them do that just over a week away live. That's Nickelback, Leader of Men. Lucky me. I've got Chad, singer from Nickelback, on the line. The band from Canada. Did you do anything special for Canada Day?
We played in Canada for Canada Day at a big festival.
Is that akin to our 4th of July?
That's exactly what that is.
Was that your first time back in a while?
That was. It's kind of nice to be back in the homeland, and we were kind of treated as such. It was like people hadn't seen us in a long time, and there's a new video on the music station there, and so to head back after being away for so long was just like, we got a very, very warm welcome.
Which video?
Leader of Men.
Leader of Men, which I've seen. That's great.
Oh, thank you so much.
You definitely have that rock and roll presence that we know and love. You command attention when we watch it.
I've never heard that before. I command attention. You're too kind.
And I've heard nothing but good things about you live. This will be our first time seeing you.
I'm trying to figure out how you heard other things.
And everyone else is listening going, what is she talking about? So we're going to wait, though. We're going to wait till the actual Zeta Fest when we can talk in person.
You want proof, don't you? You want proof.
Shh, oh, there goes my halo. Damn you. So the CD is called The State, and I know it's selling very well for you, which is always also a good thing.
This is always a good thing.
Are you out with anyone at the moment?
Yeah, we are. And we fly to Honolulu, and we get to play some shows in Honolulu.
So immediately following Zeta Fest, you're off to get a lay.
I don't think there's much halo left.
Just remember, Don Ho, Kimba no ho. How can you, Chad from Nickelback, tell the fans out there of you, of Zeta, of big concerts, reasons why they should go get their wee fee of $20 ticket now to see Zeta Fest and to see Nickelback?
Because everybody else is doing it.
Follow the leader of men.
Exactly. You're calling the shots.
All right.
We know who the leader of men is.
Thank you so much, Chad. Kimba, Leader of Men. I like that. I like it a lot.
Kimba, Leader of Men. Yeah, it's a good title.
Well, if I ever do become president, I'll definitely change it to the ovary office.
To the ovary office.
Exactly.
Nice.
I cannot wait to meet you.
I'm so intrigued at this point in time that I don't even think I'm going to make it back to bed.
I think you might.
Wow, okay. I might.
But thank you anyway.
Nobody has a clue what we're talking about.
Oh, but they will.
They will.
Just about over a week away. It's the 23rd. It's Bicentennial Park, Nickelback, playing Zeta Fest 2000. We're glad you're showing up. I'm glad that you occasionally like to just call and check in and say hello. And I hope that you will, do a call from Honolulu after Zeta Fest just to tell us how wonderful it is over there while you're eating the pineapples. And
why don't you just come with me?
Okay, twist my arm.
Yeah, like it's ever tough to get a woman to come to Hawaii.
I'm the really good-looking singer in a rock band, and I'm going to Hawaii. Want to come? No, I don't think I can make that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's not a response you're typically going to get.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
I'll let you get back to sleeping.
Okay, sweetie.
Thank you so much for taking the time to call, truly, and I will see you in about a week at Zeta Fest.
That's a date.
Chad, lead vocalist for Nickelback. Bye.
Right? Hammer time. Thanks, Keith. You really did save the interview and woke Chad up. So the band's playing Zeta Fest July 23rd, Bicentennial Park. You've got Deftones, Stone Temple Pilots, Filter, Veruca Salt, Local H, Glassjaw, Nonpoint, The Union Underground, Darwin's Waiting Room, UPO. It was at Zeta Fest. Chad brought me on his bus and was telling me about this song that he was producing, and did I want to hear it? So I'm absolutely the record guy. Leave her alone. Don't make her sit here and work on, she's supposed to have a good time at the festival. I'm like, no, I wanted to hear it. It ended up being Default's Wasting My Time, which was released about a year later, August 28th, 2001. Now, keep in mind, when I'm telling you all of this about what's going on with Nickelback thus far, How You Remind Me did not come out until about a year later. So that wasn't even a thing yet. So this would be my interview with Nickelback from Zeta Fest, July 23rd, 2000.
Just came off the stage, and I have to tell you, no pun intended because of how hot it is there, but a blistering, we like to call it a blistering set. Hi, Chad.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good. Yeah, you can use that one. Sure, why not?
Thank you.
Can we hear you? Testing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Beautiful. We just chatted, weeks ago. Are you used to the crowds when you're playing having so little clothing, I guess is what I...
We're used to not seeing them pass out. It's a little hot. Yeah.
Not used to that kind of weather where you're from?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it gets hot. It just doesn't get. It's dry hot.
It's
not
never
like it's hot.
you never bitch about the heat down here. You just don't.
That's what they always say. That's the catchphrase. It's not the heat. It's the humidity.
It's the humidity.
That's what gets you. Absolutely. The State is the name of the CD. It just came out really months ago here anyway, and it's been doing amazing here. I know you've had even a bigger success thus far in Canada. And I know you just went home. Chad and I were talking Canada Day, went home to a huge reception. Treated you like the rock stars that you are.
It's fun when we get to go home because, now that we're down here doing everything in the U.S., when we go back home, they're just like, everyone's really proud of us, the radio station and our friends and family and everybody. So it's a treat.
Which is great. And does anyone come up to you and go, where's my passes? How do you know?
All the time.
Every 15 minutes,
All
my
the
phone
time.
rings. Yeah, hey, do I get into the show? Where's my backstage pass? Yada yada yada. Yeah.
People you never knew cared. We're like, hey, how are you?
Love those guys.
Good to talk to you. So the songs that you've been hearing on Zeta are, well, first, Leader of Men, which you talked about on the stage, and now it's starting to come out in interviews what the actual lyrics of the song are about, induced. And because Chad's such a fun guy to be with, mushroom. It's a mushroom trip of sorts. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it's songs about magic mushrooms.
So were you under the influence when you wrote the song?
Guilty. Yeah, I'm trying.
Officers, he's right here.
Yeah. I'm trying not to get arrested lately. I got arrested in Kansas.
Well, we're not in Kansas anymore, Chad. What happened in Kansas?
I got everybody in the crowd to scream "you" to a cop, and that cop was waiting for me after we got off stage.
Did you get the full body cavity search?
Damn near.
Bend over, grab your ankles, kind of thing.
He let me off. They took me around behind one of the buses and started they're like, just shake my hand, and I'm like, what? Well, just shake my hand. I want to shake your hand right before I take you to jail. I'm like, for what? It's like, what did he say? Public disturbance,
Yeah.
something to do with screaming profanities in public, and I'm like, come on, I want you to go and arrest everybody out there that screamed. Then, don't just give me a hard time. He's like, so we started going back and forth, and then a TV camera crew showed up, and then they let me off.
Ryan is the guitarist. We're leaving Ryan out.
I'm watching this kerfuffle at the door go on here.
Chad and I have had, a couple of conversations now, so I know I keep inching towards him, but
It's okay. I know you're comfortable talking to him. Not many people are comfortable talking to me.
I can't even imagine that.
It's awful.
I've been awake for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I had Chad on the bus a little bit on the hungover side.
What's new?
Oh, well, something else I wanted to talk to you about. I know that radio edits are something that was new to you. In Canada, they just kind of usually play the full length. You found out here that they'll...
It's illegal to edit a song in Canada if it's Canadian. We can edit American stuff. Like they chop up Limp Bizkit stuff all the time, but you can't edit. It's called CanCon, Canadian content. So then when we come down here once in a while, we'll hear like 2 lines of the song removed just for time.
It's like you get to places where they actually play the edit, and then people are like, you can see them singing in the crowd, and it comes that line, they're like,
What's going on?
What happened?
It's pretty funny.
Breaks
Breaks the stride. Yeah.
And Ryan, as far as your contribution to, aside obviously from playing guitar, do you do any of the writing? Is it all Chad? Because I know you did Leader of Men.
Mainly the main riffs in the lyrics and stuff for Chad. I'll come through and I guess live energy. How about
I
that?
saw you from the back, and it was pretty good.
You like my back?
I like the back, and then I've heard about the front. Chad, this is where you come in. Chad and I were on the phone weeks ago. If you happen to hear it, I was alluding to something I had heard about him, and
Who told you that? Because you were calling me Hammer before. I'm trying to figure out
one
where.
of those things when you're in a rock band.
Here's a secret though. it's not a secret. He makes it not a secret.
Oh, I thought you were going to say makes it up. Okay, so it's not.
There's a lot of drinking. When there's a lot
Next
of
question.
Yeah, well.
Ryan's like, all right, I've seen it enough, I've heard it about it enough, which is just one of those things when you hear that a band has, aside from their already talented CD, great attributes and assets, it's nice to point it
We
out.
have enough
on
dinks in
occasion.
this business. I don't need to talk about that one.
I bet you don't, right? Those are actually a lot bigger when you think about it.
Well, exactly.
I understand what you're saying. So when you hear the term blame Canada, it's absolutely in the most positive way we could ever think of.
Exactly.
Nickelback, we absolutely love you. The State is the name of the CD. If you don't own it already, you should. Thank you very much for being here.
That's Nickelback from July 23rd, 2000 at Zeta Fest. Then the band played a show at the Chili Pepper in Fort Lauderdale. That was October 5th of 2000. Again, How You Remind Me, still a year away. It's not there. And they were doing a show with Three Doors Down and Dust for Life. So they agreed to do an acoustic version of Leader of Men that afternoon on the outside stage of the Chili Pepper, which is now known as Revolution in Fort Lauderdale. And we had a contest and had a few winners come out to watch them perform the song. So I remember after that all happened and I did all the introductions of all, he gave me a tour of their bus. And then after that, we walked over to an Irish bar called Dicey Riley's in downtown Fort Lauderdale, just right around the corner from the bar, and just had a beer or two and chit-chatted. And I think about how a year later, there was no way he would have been able to do that. We just sat there and talked. Nobody knew who he was. A year later, bam. And I always find it fascinating how that happens. Then you fast forward to 2001, and I remember when I first heard How You Remind Me, I was a music director for Zeta at the time, and I said, this is a hit song. This is going to be a hit song. I often, as a music director, you get to hear songs well before not only anyone else gets to hear them, sometimes well before they're added to the station. There was a method of madness behind it all. My boss didn't quite agree with me when I heard it. I said, this is a hit song. This is going to be huge. And he wasn't as enthusiastic about it. That song, How You Remind Me, ended up being the most played song on the radio in the United States that year and all of the 2000s. In fact, Nickelback was the most played artist in all of the 2000s, which could also explain all of the backlash that went on. So record companies will sometimes give you a plaque or a gold or platinum record. You've seen them before in the frame, and it has the date and the song and the band name, and then it usually has the person's name. That if they felt you were instrumental in helping the band reach that goal of success. And we got one, although they gave it to my boss, the one who didn't want to add it, because radio. I really haven't seen the band after that, except when I went to see them at a sold-out show at what is now called the Amerant Bank Arena, our arena here in South Florida, where the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers play. Had to throw that in there. Because they just, once that song came out, they hit and never looked back. I could not be happier for them, because also, if you could hear it in the interviews, they're just nice guys, funny guys. And if you check out the aforementioned Deadpool bit that I'll put in the bio of the vodcast and the podcast, you'll see what I'm saying. I had a great experience with them some 20 years ago. And if you're so inclined, check out the Hate to Love documentary. As of this cast, it is streaming on Netflix. Thank you so much for being one of Kimba's Herd, and thanks for listening to me, Kimba, radio broadcast, Season 4, Episode 3, How You Remind Me.
'Cause Kimba's on the radio.